Not every relationship is to die for. Some relationships are basically like an object which is stuck in your backside. It just restricts your freedom. It was a hot day in the UK, so I decided to go to the shopping centre and just do some people watching, as you would. I couldn't help but notice so many couples walking past. They all had one thing in common. Oh no, actually, they had two things in common. Regardless of how old the couple were, whether or not they had a child with them, almost with no exception, the man was sneakily looking at other women, and the woman looked like she almost has no soul in her. I have great empathy for women because I know what it's like to feel devoted to your family and your partner and your children. You completely forget yourself. You completely forget that you're a sexual creature. Back to what those women had in common. They looked like this lifeless, sexless, tired, and terrified creature who doesn't even have time to brush her hair. Do you know what she's terrified of? The sneaky looks that the man gives to other women. Because every time he does that, she feels abandoned and rejected. How is she gonna have time to compete with a third party? She's already too busy. She's so busy, she probably won't even have time to take a shower today. But now she has to worry about somebody else stealing his man. By the way, no one's stealing your man. He's seeking to be stolen, in case you didn't know. Otherwise, why would you hear all of these stories about finding their husbands on dating websites? Who was trying to steal them? No one. They created a dating site to find someone to cheat with. Brilliant. Can you believe that we pray to have one of those in our lives? Can you believe it? Anyway, back to my story. I was also watching a bunch of teenage girls walking around, all dolled up, happy, going shopping with their friends, having a matcha in their hand, or milkshake or something. They look like they're full of life. Nothing's happened to them yet. No heartbreak, no abandonment, no grief, nothing. They're full of life. They want to find the love of their lives, giggling with their girlfriends, probably gossiping about this boy they just met. And right next to those, there was a group of those teenage girls, and right next to them was this family with a wife and children and the husband and I think the mother-in-law. The same look appeared in the woman's face, this lifeless, sexless, don't have time to look after myself, exhausted, terrified woman, with a man who's sneakily just looking at other women's bottoms and breasts. So I was looking at the group of teenage girls, then looking at the wife, and kept looking and looking, and I thought to myself, this is your future. This is what you're auditioning for. That is what you're auditioning for. That is what you're all dolled up for and giggling to your friends about. This is the future. She doesn't know. We didn't know. We didn't know that's what we were auditioning for. We didn't know that was gonna happen. The worst part about being in a long-term relationship or being married as a woman isn't even all the sacrifice that you make, isn't even the exhaustion and like the boredom or whatever. It's that fear of rejection. Do you know how many times one woman can get rejected by the same man? Every time he looks at somebody else, you feel rejected. Every time he follows somebody on Instagram, you feel rejected. And the rejection for women is a lot different than the rejection is for men. Because when men get rejected, they're upset that they don't get to have sex. When we feel rejected, we feel like we're dying. Totally different. And the thing is, you know, men say, oh, men get rejected a lot more than women do. Women don't get rejected. We do. Not in the same way though. I think women feel rejection a lot more frequently and a lot more intensely than men do. Because to us, we can feel rejected multiple times in the same day by the same man. And that rejection feels like death. I'm not even going to mention the anxiety and the panic or everything else that comes with that feeling of rejection. I couldn't help but think, when I was a teenager and full of life and wanted to find the love of my life, I didn't think that finding the love of my life would be like me being bored and tired and terrified and feel rejected and abandoned and don't have time to brush my hair. I'm not being pessimistic. It's literally an observation. I was looking at all of the couples that were walking past, apart from the ones that were in honeymoon phase, which is quite obvious, it's quite easy to spot. Every other woman I saw had the same look in their face, like they had identical souls, or they had no soul. Almost like when you find a love of your life, he sucks the soul out of you, turns it into something else, and then puts it back in there. Or doesn't put it back in there, he just takes it out. What's the title of this video? When I wanted to make this video, I really didn't have any topic or any title in mind. I just had gotten back from the shopping center and I thought, I need to talk about what I saw. I need to talk about what I observed. Is it just me? Have you guys noticed that? But now, what's the solution? I don't like to talk about something and bring up something I've noticed or I think is a problem without having a solution. What's the solution? If our love dies, would that be a bad thing? No, not necessarily. Because some relationships, metaphorically speaking, they're like something that is stuck in your backside, something uncomfortable, an object, and you're just so used to it being there that you forget how painful it is to have that object inside you. You can't sit normally anymore. Your movements are restricted. If you move a certain way, the pain is probably going to increase. But you're so accustomed to that object being in there, you're probably going to feel empty if that object is removed. I'm not saying all relationships are like that, but certainly a lot of them are. And certainly the ones that you're terrified of ending tend to be like that. Removing that object is excruciating, and it's going to be painful after you've removed the object. A short time after you remove it, the pain is gone and you're free to move. And you remember that you used to be able to sit, used to be able to do all of these moves without restriction, without feeling any pain, and you'd forgotten them because that object was stuck in your backside. Yeah, I think that's a really good metaphor. My point is that if your relationship is like that, if your love ends, it's not a bad thing.